Hello folks, welcome back to Merrill Math. I'm Mr. Merrill, and today's topic is finding the equation of a line through two given points. This is an algebra topic, and I think when students first see this, they're lost. This seems like a really hard problem. It's one of those ones where it's just really hard to get started. And hopefully I can give you some tips, some pointers, or just a resource to be able to do that, to be able to get started. So we're given 2 points here, and we have the point 1, -2, and the point 5, 10. The first thing I want to clarify is when we're given a point, they are x, y coordinate pairs. So that helps out. So the first thing we have to do is find the slope. Now, slope is... We're going to have to take a sidebar for this. When we talk about slope, there are a lot of different ways that people talk about slope. They say that's rise over run. They say that's, what is it, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. There's a lot of different ways to teach slope, and I'm not... These are, well, this one is not very easy to remember. Rise over run's pretty easy to remember, but you're not exactly sure what you're talking about when you say rise over run. So I prefer to think of it, just in terms of change. I just start at this point and I say, how did this change? How did that change? And there's actually a symbol in mathematics for change. It's this triangle. It's actually a Greek letter and it's called delta. So I think of it as delta y over delta x. So I think of it as the change in y over the change in x. Now all of this is saying the exact same thing. This is just semantics, but sometimes it's easier to think, like if you know how to think about something, it's easier to think about it. So change in y over change in x. So let's go back to this. Let's find our slope. Slope is given the letter m because, I don't know, s means something else, I guess, in some other equation. Actually, I heard the best explanation I have for why slope is an m is the French word for climb starts with an m. It's monter, and I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong because I'm not French, but I did take 2 years of French in high school. But at any rate, change in y. So how did the y change? Well, these are our y's. How did this change? I was at -2, and now I ended up at 10. So what happened? Well, I added 12. Here, I was at 1, and then I ended up at 5. What changed? Well, I added 4. That's a positive 4. This is a fraction. It will simplify. That's 3. So my slope is 3. So now, if we were going to write this equation, our slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So we have the m. We know what that is. It's 3. So our equation at this point is y equals 3x plus b. So all we need to do is figure out what b is. Now, how do we do that? Well, there are 3 letters in this equation, and at the moment, there are 3 letters in this equation. We just so happen to know some values for x and y. Notice what I said up here. Our points. This is x, this is y. This is a different x, this is a different y. So we could put either one of those in and make it work. And just, I normally don't do this when I'm teaching a class. I don't show them both of them, unless it's like the absolute first time, just because it shows, just to show them that I'm not lying, that it works both ways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it one way and then I'm going to do it the other way. So let's use our point 1, -2. So 1, -2. So we have -2 as our y. So we're going to say -2 equals our slope is 3. Our x value is 1 plus b. So all we've done here is substitute our y and our x into our y equals 3x plus b. That's it. And now we're just going to sort of backtrack here and solve for b. So 3 times 1, that gives us a 3. And we could take this and subtract it from both sides. So that gives us negative 2 minus 3, that's negative 5 equals b. So we have y equals, our equation, y equals 3x minus 5. We could say plus negative 5, but it's kind of redundant, so we just take the plus sign out. Okay, our next point that we had was 5, 10. So we're going to use that point just to show that we get the same thing. So this is all kind of a repeat of what we just did. So we have y equals 3x plus b, so 10 equals 3x, 3 times 5, plus b. Now you might be able to see this right away. Sometimes if you've solved enough equations, you can say, oh, b has to be negative 5. But we're going to go through it just to be safe. So that's 3 times 5, that's 15, plus b. So we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So that gives us negative 5 equals b. And our equation again, y equals 3x minus 5. So they both match, and life is beautiful. Let's look at another example. I'm not going to take as much time on this one, but it's always good to make have a couple of examples. Okay, so like I said, this is our x, this is our y. First thing we have to do, change in y over change in x, right? That's our slope. So we have to find that first. So we started here at negative 2, and we ended up at 7. So the question is, what changed? How did it change? Well, that's a 9. That's a plus 9. So negative 2 plus 9 gives us 7. Here we started at 2, we ended up at negative 4. So what happened there? Well, we went from 2, we went down to 0. That's minus 2, minus 4 more. So that'd be a minus 6. So this gives us a 9 over negative 6. This is a fraction that's going to reduce. I'm going to bring the minus sign out front. And both of these are divisible by 3. Now, if we divide 9 by 3, we get 3. We divide 6 by 3, we get 2. Some students might want to say that's negative 1.5. And I would say you're correct, but I'm going to leave it like this. As you'll find when you get further and further into math, mixed numbers are not your friend. So I prefer to leave them as improper fractions. In fact, I don't know why they call them improper fractions. It's kind of a misnomer. I actually kind of prefer just fractions in general. Fractions are your friends. That's the lesson of today. So our slope is negative 3 halves. So what we have is y equals negative 3 halves x plus b. Okay, so now comes the decision. We know we're going to be taking negative 3 halves times our x. And if we look up here, we're saying which of these, now it kind of doesn't matter, I mean, which of our x values is divisible by 2. And this actually works out nicely because either of them will work. But I'm going to pick this one just because the numbers are smaller. So there's really no point, as I showed before. You get the same answer either way. But in terms of just doing mathematics, mathematicians tend to be lazy. We like to take shortcuts. So I'm going to pick 2, negative 2. That's the point I'm going to choose. So this is my y value, this is my x value. So I'm going to rewrite my equation, negative 2, which is my y, negative 3 halves, that's my slope, my x value is 2, and I'm going to add b. That just comes along for the ride. Okay, so negative 3 halves times 2. These 2's cancel out, because really this is 2 over 1 is my fraction, so this is on the top, this is on the bottom. So they have a common factor, they cancel out. So this just leaves us with negative 3 plus b on the right-hand side, and negative 2 is still over on the left. So we're going to add 3 to both sides, and that gives us 1 equals b. So we're not finished yet. So we know what our slope is, we know what our b is, and by the way, I don't know if if you know this already, I kind of glossed over that. B is our y-intercept, so this is where on the y-axis, if we were to draw this line, that is the point on the y-axis where the graph would cross. So, and that's one of those things I don't know why it's called b. I don't know I don't know why they chose b for that letter. It's just one of those mysteries of life. So we have y equals negative 3 halves, that's our slope, x plus our b is 1. So that is our equation for the line going through these 2 points. Thanks for watching.